What do Fisherman, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Lobsters all have in common? Apparently everything. You see, the Fisherman aesthetic is officially trending. People magazine just ran a headline that read, quote, Gwyneth Paltrow wore Fisherman sandals twice in 1 month, so now we're shopping similar pairs for our summer closet. Yes, twice in 1 month. Mind you, all the black uncles were wearing these shoes to the family functions in the 2000s. Just like we talked about with Kendall Jenner's viral white tank top that some people seem to go crazy over, we've seen a dime a dozen of these, and yet when Gwyneth Paltrow wears it, oh, now it's aspirational, now it's aesthetic, and it's given rise to the Fisherman aesthetic. Fashion and beauty publications are pegging the Fisherman aesthetic as the breakout style for 2025. And with this Fisherman aesthetic has come the viral lobster purse. All over the United States, women are now driving from town to town and scouring the shelves of TJ Maxx and Marshalls for this beaded bag that has a bunch of red lobsters on it.
Why didn't you guys tell me? Why did you guys not tell me? Which one of you guys knew about the viral lobster beaded bag at TJ Maxx? Which one of you guys? Because I thought we were friends. Okay, we got our Starbucks. Lay and I are on our way to TJ Maxx to go find this viral lobster beaded purse.
This TikTok influencer documented herself going to over a dozen stores to find the viral lobster purse.
A lobster beaded bag. No luck at this location, but I'm here, so I might as well see what else they have. That location was a flop. I am 15 minutes away from the TJ Maxx in Newport News, so we're gonna go there. I didn't drive an hour for nothing. And number 13 is not my lucky number.
I am still on the hunt for the viral lobster beaded bag, and I'm actually at a new location in Virginia Beach today. I have not ever been to this location. It is a TJ Maxx in the Red Mill area.
This TikToker said in the caption to her post that she's willing to sell a kidney to get her hands on the viral purse, and she was on the verge of a meltdown because she couldn't find one.
Okay, this message is for TJ Maxx and Marshalls and whoever runs your accounts. I need your help, okay? I have searched high and low for this bag and I cannot find it anywhere. And you might be thinking, oh, she's just another girl who wants a beaded bag. No, there is so many reasons why I want this bag, okay? My whole personality is crawfish and lobster themed things, okay? I have crawfish hats, I have crawfish dresses, I have crawfish earrings, I have crawfish shirts. Literally all I need is this bag. I can't find it anywhere. I have been to 3 TJ Maxx's, 3 Marshalls. My mom has been to TJ Maxx's and Marshalls near where she lives. I have my friends that are like spread out all over the country looking for this bag and no one has found it and I need it and I'm begging you, okay? I have messaged you on Instagram, on TikTok, both Marshalls and TJ Maxx because all I want in this world is this freaking bag. I just want to buy the bag. Please.
Yes, people are crashing out because they can't find a beaded crustacean purse. Hobbies! We need hobbies, real hobbies. Let's discuss the need to aestheticize literally everything, even something as unglamorous as being a fisherman, and how this fisherman aesthetic craze and the lobster bag craze are all showing us yet again that people cannot develop a personality outside of consumerism. So apparently looking like a fisherman is cool now, but not really, actually, because this is not even what fishermen really look like. This is just a luxury aesthetic with nautical motifs. The fisherman aesthetic, quote, alludes to quiet luxury and the coastal grandmother aesthetic with a more practical take. Translation, just enough to look luxurious, but not enough to actually remind you of labor. Luxury brands like Altuzarra sent out toggle and rope fastened duffel coats inspired by naval jackets on the runway. Recently, Louis Vuitton debuted a lobster bag of its own in collaboration with Pharrell for its fall-winter 2025 collection. Miu Miu recently released a crop of boat shoes, styled alongside bikini bottoms and button polo shirts. Fish and aquatic motifs are trending all over TikTok. And several fisherman-esque beaded purses have since gone viral. And according to Google Trends, US searches for beaded bag peaked to a 5-year high in the same week that the lobster bags first went viral this past April. And like I said at the top of this video, celebrities like Gwyneth Paltrow and also Katie Holmes have been said to be early adopters of the fisherman aesthetic. But is this the worst aesthetic? No. Is it the most harmful aesthetic? Probably not. I'll admit, I do have a little bit of a soft spot for the Breton stripes. I think those are cute. Let's talk about the people who this trend is ostensibly based off of. Of course, people fish for recreation, but I'm talking about the people that actually do it for a living. Either which ways, wealthy people who this trend is largely trying to emulate are not doing their own fishing, right? Even people who do it recreationally know it's a dirty job. Whether you're wearing a fisherman beanie or a nautical striped shirt or a beaded lobster purse, none of these exist in relation to actual labor. And that is the contradiction that's baked into commodity culture. Being a fisherman is in fact one of the most dangerous occupations in the world. It's far from aesthetic. In the US, commercial fishermen face a fatality rate that's over 28 times higher than the average worker. You know, between the unpredictable storms, heavy machinery, and workdays that are often about 20 hours a day, it's incredibly perilous work for little pay. And I know it's not that serious, police are already in the comments, but what a culture gravitates to, what it wears, what it celebrates, what it romanticizes, what it aestheticizes, it all says a lot about the culture's values and motivations at the time. Fashion has never been apolitical. Don't ever let anyone tell you that. It's always been used to signify class and race and gender norms and labor roles, all the things. Trends are a reflection of material conditions and dominant ideologies at the time. And especially at a time with such economic precarity, we're seeing people cling to wanting to appear to look wealthier. Because again, this aesthetic is not giving working class fishermen. This is not giving that. This aesthetic is giving yacht club, my daddy owns a boat. This fisherman aesthetic is effectively just aestheticizing being a fisherman without any reflection of the people who actually do that work or the systems that exploit them. Because truth be told, the people who want to wear fisherman aesthetic, a lot of them would be the first people to look down on the actual fisherman. And the fact that people are spending so much time and money chasing that image instead of organizing around material conditions, it says a lot more than we would want to admit. It wouldn't even be a trend if it didn't have a luxury spin on it, let's be honest. These aesthetics only become desirable when they're filtered through wealth. It's Gwyneth Paltrow wear them and I need to recreate the look. It's Miu Miu putting fish motifs on $2,000 blouses. These trends are always about signaling a higher status, and I get it. When you walk into a room in certain clothing that conveys a higher status, people are more likely to treat you better. This is a cultural thing. If you walked into a room in an actual fisherman's uniform, like a salt-stained jacket or like steel-toed boots, and your face is super windburned from 20-hour shifts, working, toiling, nobody is gonna be calling that fashion. No one is gonna be like, I need to emulate that look. No, people are gonna give you dirty looks. Nobody is romanticizing it unless it's been laundered through money, unless it's through the lens of luxury and aspirational lifestyles. The Altuzarra coat that's being touted as a go-to fisherman aesthetic coat retails for $3,495. The Miu Miu canvas boat shoes that Marie Claire recommends to shop the look are $1,000. And the Reformation cashmere cardigan that they recommend to shop the look is $250. The product, or in this case, the aesthetic, is completely divorced from the reality of the namesake of what it's supposed to be representing. It's just a romantic image of coastal labor that serves to sell products, because dwelling on the realities of a fisherman or the realities of who had to toil to create the clothes to make this aesthetic a reality, that would kill the fun. That would kill the vibe. Many of these trend reports are intertwined with sales. A lot of these articles that are proclaiming it a fisherman aesthetic summer or fisherman aesthetic 2025, they all have dedicated sections on how to shop the look. And of course, they use affiliate links within the actual articles. These publications are making money when people are believing that this is an aesthetic that they need to replicate. So there's a built-in incentive to say, everybody is wearing X this summer, everyone is wearing X this fall. I recently started reading the book Inventing Reality by Michael Parenti, and it's about how the mass media functions under capitalism. He talks about how it's working for the ruling class and not for us. He talks about more serious things like war and empire, and he also talks about consumerism. So as I was doing my research for this video, I had that book in the back of my head the entire time. And I just kept thinking that something as seemingly harmless as a summer trend, like the fisherman aesthetic, uses this very playbook. Like right now, every fashion publication and beauty publications too are proclaiming that this is the year of the fisherman aesthetic and this is the look of the summer. But a lot of these trends do not go viral organically. Just like Parenti said in his 2007 book, the media often serves to invent reality. These fashion publications are owned by the same handful of corporations that are wanting you to buy these items to replicate this aesthetic. Or they're financially dependent on them for ad dollars. So of course they're gonna declare that it's a trend and recommend that you buy $1,200 Miu Miu Fisherman sandals and a $3,500 Altuzarra rope coat. The whole thing is coordinated. It's about keeping you shopping, keeping you insecure, keeping you buying new identities every season. The whole machine can make us think that something is a thing that's really not a thing, or it wouldn't be as much of a thing if left to its own devices. And since the emergence of the beaded lobster purse, we're also now seeing all sorts of beaded bags trending. And thanks to my wonderful Patron Flip, who gave me the idea for this video that ultimately led to me discovering this fisherman aesthetic and the beaded bag phenomenon. Beadwork has deep roots in a lot of indigenous cultures around the world. Native American communities in particular have largely popularized this beaded bag style. By the late 1800s, indigenous American women began making these bags from tanned leather or wool, and they adorned them with this intricate floral and figural beadwork. Each stitch took time, each design had a purpose, and they were certainly not mass-produced. These bags are still carried today by various tribes. A lot of them hold a spiritual meaning. A lot of them are passed down from generation to generation.
My family has always done beadwork. Since I was a little girl, since I can remember. I taught my daughter how to bead. My son knows how to bead as well. And I learned from my mom and my grandma, and my mom learned from her grandma and her mom. So something that you pass on.
And they're made with a level of care and intention that TJ Maxx or Marshalls or whatever major mass retailer is never going to have. And to be fair, I'm not saying that everybody who's wearing a beaded bag right now is disrespecting indigenous culture intentionally. But indigenous folks in places like Montana and the Great Plains really set the blueprint for these bags to become popular. At the very least, it overshadows indigenous beaders who are still making these, who are still doing so intricately, who are doing it by themselves. When shoppers choose to buy it from a mass retailer just because TikTok said it was cool, these corporations who mass produce these items, they really don't make us think about where these things came from, who originated it, and who's making it now. And in what conditions? We always have to ask those questions. Objectively, nothing about a white beaded bag with a bunch of red lobsters on it screams that I must drive 50 miles to get my hands on this. None of these beaded bags are worth any of that. But this lobster bag carries a certain social capital. Even though it's not designer or expensive, it's trending. And on TikTok, that's currency. One week it's a mascara, the next is the Labubu dolls, the next is the Dubai chocolate, then a beaded lobster purse. When I see these people driving from store to store chasing after a lobster purse, I can't help but think about what considerable amount of time, of gas, of money, like what are we doing? All of that effort that it takes just to get a purse. And I imagine like what would happen if those TikTokers were spending the same amount of time, energy, all of that to canvas for their local tenant union, to donate to people's mutual aid, or even just to share people's mutual aid, organizing a strike fund. I don't know. There's any number of things that we can do to better our communities, to actually build collective power, to build class solidarity, community power, at the very least. And that's not happening. All of these things can tangibly improve working class lives. Yet consumer culture trains us to see obtaining products as a more natural pursuit than building collective infrastructure that actually challenges capital. And it's not that women who are chasing after these lobster bags are bad people. I don't believe in good people, bad people binaries. They are behaving in a way that society has incentivized. Shopping is celebrated as therapy and entertainment, whereas mutual aid, collective action, organizing within your community in a number of ways, it's seen as not worth our time because they don't produce profit for a corporation, because they don't produce a material item for you to consume. Enormous, absolutely enormous reserves of human energy and creativity are expended every single day. Finding things, buying things, unboxing things, displaying things, instead of solving collective problems or even just connecting with each other in non-material ways. Even our free time under capitalism gets funneled back to the consumption cycle because capitalism wants our rest, it wants our joy, it wants all of our attention. We live in a culture that celebrates chasing trends and buying things. Of course, it's going to breed people who are more attuned to what's viral, what's trending, than what's happening in their own communities, than what's happening in their whole world, what's happening to people in their own country, or how their comforts are predicated on other people's discomfort or exploitation. It creates the kind of person who is so only consumed with their own individual pleasures. People who have no problem with the fact that the exploitation of the global south is required in order for us to enjoy these consumer comforts. Like, I have to say, the women who are hunting down these lobster purses are incredibly resourceful. They are resourceful as hell. The amount of time, dedication, and planning that all of that takes, we need those skills. Those skills would be revolutionary if they were directed towards direct action, if they were directed towards dismantling systems that keep us exhausted and exploited and always having to fulfill our insatiable appetite for consumption. You know, those kinds of skills, that kind of discipline. I mean, even if you're not doing those things, just sitting still, reading a book, you could use your skills for that. Educating yourself, sharpening your mind, sharpening your understanding of the world that you live in, sharpening your understanding that the product on the shelf doesn't just get there. It has to pass through a whole cycle of labor, of often exploitative labor, in order for you to go purchase it. There's so much more things that we can be doing to fulfill our time than chasing after fickle trends. But instead, we're taught to channel all of that energy into consumption, into buying, into posting, into flexing, wash, rinse, repeat. You're never supposed to pause and reflect, all of which is distracting you, and it dilutes your potential to stand up for something other than selfish pursuits. This is the stuff that keeps us from asking harder questions and from dreaming bigger than what capitalism hands to us as cheap thrills. I know hunting for a lobster purse or another beaded purse or the Fisherman aesthetic, all of that seems harmless. All of it reinforces the idea that our main role in society is to be consumers, and we've talked about that many times. Not organizers, not neighbors, not citizens. And that does not mean that we have to be serious 24/7, but we have to always ask, who profits from this craze? What does it encourage or what does it discourage? Are we bonding over a shared passion that is substantive, or are we being sold a very superficial and fleeting sense of belonging? Hyper-consumerism trains us to believe that everything has to be transactional. Anything that requires time and doesn't come with an immediate, superficial, materialistic benefit, it's suddenly not worth your time. You lose interest because the logic that's been drilled into us is, what's in it for me? And that question has become a reflex, and it is a deeply American or Western reflex. And it is all rooted in our country's obsession with hyper-individualism and consumption. But listen, the truth is, consumption is not going to save us. It might make you feel good for a moment in time, but it's not going to save us. Only we can save us, not billionaires, not brands. Us. A lot of us have been too busy shopping to notice, too busy caught up in our own individual selfish pursuits to notice, too busy placing a bajillion orders on Amazon Prime every single week, and not just Amazon, all the places, too busy hunting down bags and viral crazes to notice, traveling across state lines. Oh my God, traveling across state lines for a bag. You know you've got it bad when you're doing that. We're too busy doing that to build collective infrastructure to keep us safe. So my advice to you is, instead of doing that, join your local tenants union. Start a book club with your friends or by yourself. And by the way, lots of you have been asking for my book recommendations. Well, I posted, I believe it was last week, on my Instagram, and I've pinned the post of my official, it's a non-exhaustive list. I say official with air quotes, book list. Of course, it's always growing. I'm always reading new things. So I will routinely continue to suggest books, but you can check that out on my Instagram page. But yeah, join the book club or start your own book club. Read by yourself. Libraries are free. I can't tell you how many amazing books that I've been personally introduced to thanks to my local library. Host a clothing swap. Fund mutual aid. Don't just scroll past it when you see it. These are all acts to remind us that we are a collective. We're not just consumers. We're neighbors. We are caretakers of each other, or at least we should be. So let's act like it instead of being mindless sycophants for consumerism. And that is all I've got. today. If you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. And if you really liked it and you want more content like this, then definitely hit that subscribe button. Besides all that, you can follow me on my social media profiles down here, as well as my Patreon, where you can contribute for $1.50 a month or $5 a month if you're feeling a little bit more generous, all of which helps to keep the lights on here on my main channel. And thank you all so much for watching, and I will talk to you all next time.